So let's do a quick overview of UML. Now, UML is a notation that unifies a number of other previously created modeling techniques. There's the object modeling technique, the Bush technique, and the object-oriented software engineering technique. Now, what is it that we really use UML for? Well, it's a standardized language that we use for writing software blueprints. So we use it to visualize, specify, construct, and documents the artifacts of a software-intensive system. So it really helps explain, it provides a blueprint for how a system is designed and put together. It's a very important part of documentation when it comes to building systems. Now, UML is really expressive, and it's expressive in a number of different ways. You can use it for visualizing, so visualizing what your users or your systems are going to be doing when it comes to interacting, for specifications of the expected system itself. You also use it for constructing your product. So when you look at some of the UML diagrams, you'll see that there are various types of diagrams that talk about the structure as well as the behavior of the system. And of course, this is all used for documenting the system. Particularly as systems get larger and larger, we need some way of being able to understand the structure of the system better so that we can improve maintenance and updates and things like that. Now, UML does provide us with a number of different things that are really important. One is it provides us with a language for describing our system. In other words, we have a vocabulary and rules for combining words in the vocabulary so that we have better communication. Because remember, when you are dealing with software development, you're going to be dealing with a lot of different individuals, different stakeholders, different team members. So when we have a standardized language, that helps ensure that we are going to have better communication. There's also visualizing, of course. So each symbol in the UML notation represents some semantics that are actually pretty well defined. So it helps us really be very unambiguous when we are representing our models. And remember, in software development, we need our projects to be unambiguous. Now, it also helps us specify models, right? So we can build models that are, again, unambiguous, precise, and complete. One of the things that you'll find is that you're going through your different UML diagrams and UML language. You are going through your different types of diagrams. It's a very iterative approach to make sure that everything is precise and complete. UM models can also be mapped to entities in specific programming languages. So this can be C++, Java, Visual Basic, .NET, so on and so forth. Now, in addition to that, these entities in programming languages can also be reverse engineered to produce UML models. Of course, the better approach is to create your UML models first. And of course, there is the very important documentation. So UML is used to document artifacts that are produced at each stage of the software development lifecycle and process. So for example, when we're doing our requirements analysis, one of the things that we're going to be creating are our use case diagrams. We'll learn about that shortly. Now, there are a number of things we need to remember about UML. Some subsequent videos are going to go ahead and give you a little bit more information about these. But there are 3 building blocks of UML. 1, there are things. 2, there are relationships. And 3, there are diagrams. Now, when it comes to things, there are 4 types of things in UML. Oops. There are structural things, behavioral things, grouping, and annotational things. So let's take a look at what those are. Structural. Those are basically the nouns of UML. So this is something like a class. Right? Then there's the behavioral aspect. These are the dynamic parts of UML. This is related more to the verbs that we have in our model, and this represents behavior over space and time. There's also grouping. This is basically the organizational part of our models. So these are packages, namespaces, things such as that. Then there's the annotational. These are basically the explanatory parts of UML models, where we are annotating or adding a note or notes to our UML. Now, when it comes to the diagrams in UML, we have both static views of the system and dynamic views of the system. Static views of the system are things like class diagrams, object diagrams, component diagrams, and deployment diagrams. Whereas a more dynamic view of the system, which looks at the behavior of the system. There are, of course, use cases and sequence diagrams. There are sometimes collaboration diagrams. There are also state machine diagrams and activity diagrams. And in subsequent videos, you're going to see how to create each of these.